This is Mr. and what I have for you today is a look at my army that I use to push up into champs and what I've been using in champs to get the loot that I need, and we'll have a look at a few attacks as well to see how I've been using this army in particular. Okay, so let's just dive straight into this. That's the army that you can see: 4 wall breakers, 2 loons, 5 healers, 11 baby dragons, 2 eds and 1 minion. Most of the time I don't even drop the minion. Okay, let's have a look at my attack log all the way to the bottom because I've been using it for a while. Just to have a look at some of the loots I'm getting. Now, bear in mind that you add 200,000 gold and elixir onto each of these and 1,200 dark onto each of these amounts. So as you can see, this bottom one would become 700,000 each. This becomes 900,000 each. That becomes 900,000. This tops just over $1 million. So as you can see, these are the loots that I'm getting. Now in this little low case here, again, I don't need dark elixir, so I'm not even using any dark elixir on each attack. But when you add the 200,000 on, this little 300,000 raid just becomes a 500,000 raid. So nearly $1 million. Again, this becomes 490,000 in gold. This becomes 773,000, so on and so forth. So as long as I'm in front, this becomes 450,000. So my army doesn't cost 450,000, so I'm in front. And I just keep going up. And here you can see, oh look, I got a 3-star on that one. 8,000 dark, which I don't need. Small gold. This one a little bit over $1 million for the elixir. I've got another 3-star on that as well. Now let's have I can show you some of these 3-star, but as you can see, all of the attacks, and then I've got another 3-star as well. This one again over $1 million for this, $1 million of gold, $1 million elixir, because you had the 200,000 plus 7,000 dark. Let's just have a look at this just to show you how I'm using the attack. As you can see, it's a Town Hall 11, 3-star Town Hall 11. Now, yes, admittedly, not everything is maxed in this Town Hall 11, but it does have an eagle. It does have infernos. It's got everything a Town Hall 11 has. It's just not all at Town Hall 11 level. Now, because I'm using 5 healers in this one, we'll just speed this up a little bit. The moment I drop an Electro Drag, I can drop a rage spell to keep the healer's rage to help keep my queen alive. The moment I drop an Electro Dragon, the eagle will generally fire up. So if I can get the eagle out, like you just saw, as soon as the eagle was out, I dropped that Ed up the top, and just generally keeping the queen alive. As I'm figuring, I'm always going to get 50% with the queen walk regardless. And then if I happen to lose the queen early, you can see I'm just plastering the baby dragons all around the place pretty quickly, and using the king if I need to. If I don't need to use the king, I generally don't use the king. I just keep him kind of up the sleeve, but if I feel I do, then I'll drop the king. But I'm not really in a rush to use the king because I'm getting most of what I need to get anyway. The only thing I do find though is that sometimes the healers, or a little bit too often, the healers will switch to the Grand Warden. And here I drop a rage spell just to try and get everything through a little bit quicker to take out that dead inferno that just ran out of juice. So that's pretty well how I'm going to use it. We'll have a look at another one of those 3-stars, or possibly we don't even have to look at 3-stars all the time. We can have a look at this bottom one here. You get to see, I don't even know what it was that I attacked. Let's just have a look at it. 700,000 by the time I had the league bonus. So again, this was another Town Hall 11. And obviously I didn't 3-star this one for whatever reason, probably because it had more weapons up and maybe those weapons were higher. Don't know, don't really care. As long as I get a good majority of the loot, which is what you'll see I do. Again, just trying to use sparingly. I'll use the baby dragon to do the funnel, but the moment I drop an Electro Dragon, the Eagle Artillery will fire up. I get the wall breakers in here. I want to get the queen to go in, and hopefully she'll go into here. I'll drop something here. There we go. Now I'm hoping that the queen won't jump out, but she did. Okay, so that was a little bit unfortunate, but I'm not always dropping the wall breakers if I can. I got good work out of that baby dragon, so he took out that inside archer tower, But you can see the healers have left the queen and they're now in the Grand Warden. So anything that pings onto the queen, she's just going to keep on running out of health because the healers won't leave the Grand Warden. So a couple of baby dragons. I dropped the king for a little bit of distraction, or a couple of adds I should say. I've still got 9 baby dragons to deploy. There we go. I've just dropped them all to try and get them onto the Eagle artillery. Yeah, it hasn't really worked too well, so that Eagle stayed up a little bit. But I'd gotten most of the good loot out of this base anyway, as you'll see. I've only got 78,000 elixir left to get out of this base, so that'll probably be in the town hall. And same with the gold. So I've got all the storages and the pumps. So the idea that this strategy would only work for, say, storage bases or collector bases, not 100%, because in this case I got all of the storages as well except the dark elixir. Let's have a look at another one. We'll have a look at, say, 2 more, I think. And just random, I don't know what these bases are. Let's just have a look at them. Dragon Rider, I know somewhere or other I do hit a Town Hall 12, somewhere in amongst the mixed. This one goes for nearly 3 minutes as well. So you're going to see a little bit of a pattern here. This one is looks like a little bit of a maxed. The Wizard Towers aren't maxed. Archer Towers look to be maxed at the moment. I think they're maxed anyway. Close enough to it, doesn't matter. Now, as you can see, the Queen's taking a slamming, but you know, sometimes you end up with some of the healers on the Queen and some of the healers on the Grand Warden, especially if a mortar starts firing, then the Grand Warden's health starts to go down, and then the healers say, well, I'm going to heal him up. And then they've abandoned the Queen, like you see here. They're not really, you know, they just abandon the Queen, then sometimes they flick back. Doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to what's going on, to whether or not the Queen will get all the heal all the time. So that is about the only sort of risk that I mainly am taking here. Obviously the single Infernos don't really mean anything. The Queen will take out the Eagle and the Inferno. I just try to keep them up as best as I can. If I lose them, I lose them. I'm not in any great rush. I'm not dropping a training potion to try and get them all sped up, trained quicker or anything like that. I'll drop this. I'll have an army trained up. But of course my heroes are going down. So there's a couple of adds. Baby dragons in the middle. More baby dragons. Freeze the enemy Queen so they can take her out. Drop the king as well. Just sort of come in last minute. Swarm the base. And didn't really get everything. So I spent too much time worrying about the Queen walk. But I only left these little bits on the table. So I'm not really too concerned about that. So again, add your 200,000 onto that. And of course, it all adds up. So that was that one. Somewhere around here is a Town Hall 12. Let's have a look at this. This one might be the Town Hall. I don't think that's a Town Hall 12. It might even be a Town Hall 10. I'm not really sure. No, that's Town Hall 11. Well, you know, technically it's a Town Hall 11, but yeah, again, we'll have a look at the one just above that because that might be a Town Hall 12. So you're going to see the same sort of pattern here. That even though the gold, this is a base that has some good storage, good stuff in the collectors, you've seen that it's not entirely necessary that it has to be in the collectors. If I can get into a base, I will. If I can't, I'm not going to sweat it too much. If I don't have to drop the wall breakers and I end up not dropping the wall breakers, it's not really a concern. As long as I get over 70%, so I get the 200,000 maximum league bonus for being in champs, and I'm getting enough loot to cover myself, my army, my training costs, and of course then some. So a couple of adds up here, and I've got the babies just starting to snipe a few things. Drop the king, and get some more babies coming in just to take things out. So I'm finding that I'm enjoying this particular army a lot more than my usual Queen Walk archers. And of course Queen Walk miners as well. And you'll notice that at no stage am I ever actually using the CC. So yeah, that's nice little 3-star on that base. It just kind of worked out that way on that particular base. It was a 3-star. So I'm not relying on my clan with this strategy, which is what I like, because if the clan is like a little bit busy, then you can't get it all the time. Let's have a look at this one. It's low elixir. I think I vaguely remember this one. I think this is the one with the two outside storages at the bottom left that stay up. These two stay up. So yeah, this was a Town Hall 12. So it didn't really bother me that it's a town hall 12. We'll just speed this up as well. Queen walk from the bottom. I'll take out both heroes. And I figured, look, she could walk either way. I didn't really care which way she walked. You might notice that on my queen walks that I did with the archers as well, that I'll often come in at a point instead of a flat wall, because I don't really care which way she walks. I try to pick a point where it's not going to matter which way she walks. I can adjust to it. That's my whole logic. If I can adjust to it. So there I've used the wall breakers again. I've got an enemy CC balloon. I don't normally get too many CCs. I have found so far anyway. I haven't gotten too many CCs. So you can see I've just used a little bit with Baby Dragon. The Eagle Artillery is going to go up. You'll watch that as soon as I drop, the Queen doesn't take out the Eagle. As soon as I drop an Ed, then the Eagle will fire up. And I think that is what actually I end up doing here. Well, no, I've dropped the King. So as soon as I dropped the King, the Eagle fired up. So whether it was an Ed or a King, the Eagle was going to fire up at that point. Then I've just spammed the Baby Dragons in. I've got some freeze spells so I can keep some freeze action going, like I've just frozen the Inferno Farm and I just froze the Eagle that you saw there, just enough to help me get that little bit of extra loot. So I left 100,000 and 300,000 on the table, little bit ambitious on a Town Hall 12, but anyway, add the 200,000 onto that and that was my attack done. So basically I'm trying to look at around 500,000 plus on every single attack that I'm doing. Anyway, that is the let's go have a look at the army so I can have a look at that one more time, and that's what I'm bringing up. As you can see, that's what I've got cooked up. I don't cook up a spare poison spell because sometimes I forget to move it back and then I end up with 2 poisons and I have to delete it. So I only cook up the poison if I use it. This is the order that I deploy, because I don't use the wall breakers all the time and I don't use all the baby dragons all the time. So if I had these in a different order, I will use these all the time. So for instance, if you have a look at my attack log, I'm sure there's some here where I don't use all the baby dragons. Like there's one, I didn't use all the baby dragons and I didn't use the wall breakers. So if I'd had the wall breakers further along, then the wall breakers would have popped out, but I did use a minion. In that case, then I have to train a minion up. You notice I don't have a minion in training either, because a lot of the time I'm not using the minion. Again here, I didn't use the minion and I didn't use wall breakers on this one. So that's why I have that order, because sometimes, look, there's 2 cases where I didn't use all the baby dragons, 3 cases there. A lot of the time, that one was a mistake. I'd accidentally trained up all baby dragons, so I had to make use of just all baby dragons. Look, let's just have a quick look at that. We'll just see what the all baby dragon version of this looks like as well. And that was on a Town Hall 12. Nice little find. Again, I was up in Masters 3, so yeah, the loot's really quite decent, and I haven't been to Masters for a long time. Last time I was in Masters, I was Town Hall 9. And the thing was that I went to Masters as a Town Hall 9 specifically for the league bonus of Dark Elixir, so that I could get my heroes upgraded faster, because trying to always do it down in Crystal or whatever to getting all the Dark Elixir, it was just easier to say, look, if I'm going to be doing a raid anyway and I'm going to be doing a win or whatnot, then I might as well be getting better league bonus and better win bonus every time I do one. So that's why originally, as the Town Hall 9 went up to champs, and that's why I've come back up, because I want to get the walls done as quick as I can, and I find that the league bonus just helps get that extra little bit of loot. But what I'm also finding is that bases are nice and plump for me as well. Not all of the bases, so I do have to click or hit next a little bit more often. So as you can see, the Eagle is still up. I'll drop the King, and remember, I still had all baby dragons instead of Eds. I didn't bring Eds on this one because I'd accidentally trained up extra baby dragons for whatever reason. I couldn't remember. Just that when I looked at it, I went, oh, I've got all baby dragons. Now, I had used all baby dragons, but then when the challenge came up, or the event special that said use the electro dragons, I started using them just to get that achievement done. And then once I'd done the achievement, I thought, you know what, I do like these. I had used the baby dragons to push up until that point, and Then I switched to all baby dragons, and then I swapped out the 2 lots of baby dragons, which is 6 baby dragons, so I could bring in 2 electro dragons instead. And then I've been using that army ever since, even since the electro dragons went back to full cost. So there you go. I still left a little bit on the table, but it was against the Town Hall 12, and it's a nice little simple fun army to use. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video. I hope you found this useful. This is what I used to push up from Crystal into Masters 3, and as you can see in Masters 3, I have had a fantastic time. I haven't lost a single attack doing it, so I know that to stay in Masters, if you lose one, you end up losing 30 cups, and you've got to make it all up. To stay in Champs, you lose a lot if you go down. Well, as you can see, I haven't gone down in any of these 16 or so attacks. All I've done is go up, and so I'm finding it as a great pushing army. Anyway, all that's left to say is thanks for watching.